Hey, you might be wondering why I've been gone for the past 5 months. Well, I originally wanted to put a joke here about how after making fun of Russia in my last video I was captured by Russians for months. But before I finish this video, Russia did something else and that joke would be in poor taste. I have no real explanation except for the fact that I was reading another video and that I'm a lazy asshole. Anyways, have you ever played a game in your dream? You know, you later wake up and if you remember anything at all, you realize that the game in the dream made no sense and couldn't ever be real, because it isn't. But what if it was? Well, a while ago I played a little indie game called Cruelty Squad, and it captures that feeling of a game from an incomprehensible nightmare pretty well. It's both confusing and makes total sense at the same time. It feels like a shitpost but is actually competently designed and well made. It was developed by Consumer Soft Products and released in 2021. Most people don't give it the credit it deserves, pointing out how the game looks like drugs and moving on. This game has assaulted my mind and stuck itself onto it like a tumor. After beating it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I went and got the other endings. Then I got all the implants and weapons. Then I got an S rank on every stage where that's possible and beat all of them on the optional difficulties. But whatever I would do, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and hopefully saying what I think about it in a video will make it go away. The art style is often the make or break point for people looking at Cruelty Squad. Some, like me, see the appeal and others are rational human beings. It's not just a kitchen sink of random textures, you can see there is some cohesion. No matter where you look, you'll often see flesh, polished granite or faces. The game doesn't feature lighting like most games do. Here it's either on or off, giving the world a full bright look. The game, despite being made as far as I can tell by only one guy, is way closer to the idea of cyberpunk than any other game I've ever seen. The music sounds like How You'd Imagine after seeing the graphics. I'll be playing it through the video, you can find the OST in the description. The levels themselves usually differ greatly in setting. You'll go from a town where you have to assassinate an exec using corporate money to buy Janko Pops, to having to assassinate a casino owner because a higher up lost a bunch of money there, and everything in between. Cruelty Squad is a great satire of the modern world taken to an extreme. The more terminally online you are and the more you suffer on the daily, the more you'll understand the satire of Cruelty Squad. Cruelty Squad can be best described as a combination of a tactical shooter and an immersive sim, or IMSIM for short, a design philosophy with a name that everyone hates but it's way too late to change it now. At its core, IMSIMs are about player freedom, not necessarily by having a huge map like GTA, but instead allowing the player to complete simple tasks in a plethora of ways, more akin to Hitman or Deus Ex. The goal of every level is to kill one or more predetermined targets, but you can go about that in many ways, and as you unlock new weapons and implants, more and more ways open up to you. A great example is the first known tutorial level, Pharmacokinetics. When you first start the level, you can only really go about it in a couple of ways. Enter through the front door and shoot anything that moves, find a vent that leads to one of the two targets, or take a different path and get into the building through a window. After you invest in implants and find better weapons, you can also blast through, jump above this door, enter through the back, or use your organs as a grappling hook and grapple to the targets, which is in my opinion the most fun option. Hell, even using implants to get out of bounds is a valid approach. Sometimes you even find interesting things there. Reloading requires you to hold right click and fling the mouse down. I got used to this pretty quickly and I found myself swinging the mouse down in other shooters for a while after playing. I like this more active style of reloading, reminds me of System Shock. Aside from an optional side area that explains the default controls, the game does not hold your hand at all, which I like. You will certainly be confused by what the game throws at you. For example, you start the game in Divine Light, which is hard mode. After you die once, your Divine Light is severed and you enter Flesh Automaton mode, which can be considered the medium difficulty where you take less damage but can't open certain doors. After you die a couple more times in one level, you enter Power and Misery, where you take less damage, and instead of losing money every time you die, you get extremely painful surgery, that allows you to eat bodies for 1 health point. The only way to go back to Divine Light is to find a shrine, and there are only 2 in the entire game. 1 secret and 1 on the final main stage. There's also a secret difficulty that you can only get by following obscure hints from random NPCs, which is also required to get the other endings, or you could alternatively find a secret implant. Remember, none of the difficulty options are mentioned anywhere in the game, aside from getting vague messages when switching modes, so you have to either figure this out on your own or have someone tell this to you. Every single non-hostile NPC has anywhere from a few lines to a few pages of dialogue, including your targets. The level design, as is common for immersive sims, is pretty open-ended and full of secrets, so exploring is a good idea and maybe it will make you understand the world around you just a little bit more. Interestingly enough, after 2 or 3 levels the player gets used to the pretty awful HUD and the incomprehensible creatures that want you dead. The game, even on the easiest difficulty, is still pretty hard but never frustrating. At any time you can press tab to open the stock market. Here you can trade stocks, fish and organs. If you're smart you can invest in certain things before carrying out a hit and then reap the profit, which is extremely useful especially near the end of the game. Pro tip: invest everything you have into the sieve fish before completing the mall mission, and then sell everything before completing the next one. The implants range from allowing you to jump higher, making the stock market go faster, allowing you to shoot from your feet, which works as a double jump, making your ammo regenerate at the cost of not being able to reload manually, etc. Cruelty Squad not only has a unique style and rewarding gameplay, it also has a pretty decent story. This is the part where I'll spoil the entire plot excluding the secret endings, so if you want to discover all that yourself you should skip to this timestamp. Cruelty Squad takes place in a world where corporations hold more power than the government, and where the rich possess resurrection technology. Because of that, human life is worth less than nothing to them. In their eyes, the only way to give someone's life meaning is to sacrifice them to the corporate archdemons. In general, the value of life is at an all-time low. You play as an unnamed protagonist, but the community often calls him Empty Foxtrot, which is his name in Brigador where he makes a cameo. He is also commonly called Empty Fuck, Freak Sheet and some other names. You get a call from a friend who, after hearing that you got fired from the SEC Dev Unit, offers you a job at the Cruelty Squad. Since it's impossible to die for anyone moderately wealthy, those who go against the interests of the rich are sentenced to getting killed over and over again by the titular Cruelty Squad. This is actually reflected in the game, as targets respawn when you exit and re-enter a level, but unique NPCs like the janitor don't. The first couple missions are pretty standard assassinations. The first one you assassinate is a deranged man that was gambling with company money and his assistant Jerry. The second one has you assassinate owners of a startup that was selling the resources provided to them to buy Chunko Pops. The third one has you kill a man that was making progress in the colonization of Mercury when he was actually supposed to make the travels less safe as a form of human sacrifice. The fourth one has you killing police cultists, one of which mutated into a so-called bouncy castle from experimental narcotics. And the fifth one has you assassinate a governor who was proposing a revolutionary 1% company tax. Then something unexpected happens. You get a threatening message from your handler and the police show up at your door, alongside another member of the Cruelty Squad, all sent there to kill you. You kill your landlord and escape. Now in most games this is where the story would take a turn. The protagonist would want revenge and eventually would destroy the whole organization, or at least something along those lines, but not in Cruelty Squad, because you have nowhere left to go. As it turns out, someone filled out a form incorrectly and you're back to doing what you usually do for the same people you did it for before. You then take out some crypto nerds for the government, a cult leader and a casino owner. After that, you stop getting orders from your friend telling you to murder people that go against the interests of the people above you in the corporate ladder. Instead, the handler tells you to take out the people assigning the missions. First, you kill the high priest who was a very important elite. Then you go to the office where you take out the head of human resources, the chief technology officer, the chief security officer, the chief finances officer, and finally the corporate archdemoness herself. Then finally you're sent to the Archon Grid, an incomprehensible video game-like maze with a task to disable the grid. The grid is controlled by this thing called Abraxas in the files, that also acts as a final boss. The ending that appears after killing it shows the protagonist walking alone on a flat plane while text appears on screen. This line, "but you lack knowledge and understanding," is not there just for plot, but it also hints at the fact that there's more to be discovered, and without that you won't fully understand the story. There's more to be done to unlock the two secret endings, but I don't wanna spoil those. They're even more cryptic than the normal ending, and unlocking them is a whole different adventure into the "how the fuck was I supposed to discover this" realm. Cruelty Squad is quite possibly the most unique game I've ever played. It discusses interesting topics like the importance of death, the rampant consumerism and the cynicism of the modern world, while keeping the appearance of a shitpost. It's challenging but mostly fair, and it trusts you to discover everything by yourself, layer by layer. All around, it's a phenomenal game, and my game of the year 2021. It's also a phenomenal Shrek shitpost. Thanks for watching.